Klay got hot. Chris Paul's return after Andrew Wiggins missed a game due to personal reasons. Jordan Poole, though, to me, just seeing him, obviously, the former Warrior, helped to win the championship a couple seasons ago. We all know what happened last year with Draymond Green. Boy, I got to say, man, watching him yesterday, and you could see why they made the move for Chris Paul. Last night was the perfect. Now, let's watch the Wizards, and they don't have, they're not a good team. They give them 124 points a game. They've only won 3 home games. They've lost 12 straight games. They're playing for nothing. It is a nothing organization, FP, right now. So I kind of feel bad for the kid. But the difference between Chris Paul and Jordan Poole stabilizing the second unit. That's what Steve Kerr wanted from JP last year. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. 6 turnovers for Jordan Poole. He had more turnovers than made field goals. It's just his body language, his movement. That kid is broken right now, man. It was tough to watch him try to play basketball last night, FP. Good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning, man. Great job on the pre and post yesterday. We'll watch you guys. A good game last night. And I was saying I wasn't excited about CP3 coming back, but dude, he's solid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not flashy. He's just solid. He just kind of locks him in. And Jordan Poole, man, that was hard to watch. I felt bad for him last night. Like, it's hard to feel bad for a guy making that much money, but like he was so big in their championship run, their last championship run, and then to watch him, he looked defeated. Like, he looked sad. And sometimes as an athlete, when you see your old team, that's an emotional thing for you. You're like, oh man, I wish I was still there. But like, to be relegated to purgatory basically with the Wizards, and just the way his body language said more to me than his performance last night. But he didn't look physically like he looked with the Warriors. Maybe a little bit not as shredded, I guess. Right. But like, yeah, it's just the way he went about it last night. I felt bad for him, man.
He doesn't get his heads up on
yesterday.
defense.
We were joking about the whole Draymond thing.
Yeah, nobody wants to see a fight.
No, of course not. We were just having fun with that. But like, it was just hard to watch him last night. It was great to watch the Dubs.
Right.
They were sloppy at times, whatever.
Big sloppy.
Big sloppy at times. You're like, man, lock it in. Moody playing last night, man. That was great to see.
Stay ready, Moody, right? Can you describe what it's like being a professional? Because you know what it's like maybe you go 4 for 5 one day, you don't play the next day, then you pitch hit the next day, then it's like, when am I going to start again? Moses Moody has racked up DNP after DNP, and folks, you know what DNPs are. Do not play. Did not play. And Moody all of a sudden goes from not playing to starting in place of Andrew Wiggins. Oh, look, 4-7 for the 3-point line, but it's not just the points. Look at the hustle.
The hustle.
Jumping out of bounds. The first possession of the second half, he jumps into the stands to save a basketball that leads to an alley-oop dunk. He hits a 3 after making Landry Shamet touch the court with a great move, and he just goes on about his business. Can you speak to the professionalism an athlete has to have like him, where you're not a star, you're trying to find your way in the league, you don't know when your minutes are going to come, but when your number's called, you're ready to roll. That's who Moses Moody is. Look, I don't know what he is as a player, FP, but he's always ready to roll no matter what role it is.
He seems like a chill dude. And usually those guys can handle the ups and downs better than a type A guy that's, a go. So the fact that he stayed ready, the fact that Chris Paul didn't play for 21 days, whatever it was, 21 days?
21
games. And he came out and just did what he did. You get into a rhythm, you get into a flow. And when that's taken away from you, then you get out there and the game's moving fast. And for both of those guys, the professionalism to slow it down last night, to be able to contribute, the hustle, the effort. That play was number 4, I think, on a Sports Center top 10, where Moody threw it.
Right.
He threw it to half court, too. Right. That was huge. Because if he throws it under his own basket, that's dangerous.
It's a laid up. Yeah,
and then Steph does the hook shot alley-oop.
Right.
That was sick.
But
and then the 3-pointers that he made. So, yeah, it was cool to see both those guys last night. And then Klay. I mean, Klay, great interview with him, by the way, after the game. And he just seemed like he's at peace with everything. He's at peace with where he is in his career. He's at peace with coming off the bench. He said some big things to you guys last night. There were some big quotes in that interview about just how he feels more relaxed coming off the bench.
Yeah, he has no problem with it.
He doesn't feel the pressure.
I
was like, whoa, man, this is one of the greatest players in the history of the game, right? Future Hall of Famer. We talked about it yesterday. 2 Hall of Famers coming off the bench. Like, what a luxury for Steve. And that's all you heard in the post-game sound. I got 2 future Hall of Famers coming off the bench. What a luxury that is and how deep they are. But yeah, man, his attitude and the smile on his face in his interview last night, it seems like it's taken the weight of the world off his shoulders coming off the bench. Bonte, that's perspective.
Man.
That's attitude. Because if he didn't have that, he could be fighting this still.
Yep.
And he just let his guard down. He's like, hey, this is pretty cool. I get to sit around for a couple minutes before I go in the game.
Dude, I'm glad you opened that up because I've been labeled as the biggest Klay apologist on this station. And I am an apologist for Klay Thompson. Our greatest memory is watching basketball. He's involved in it. We know all the historic moments he's had with this franchise, helping them win their 4th championship, playing the most minutes during that postseason run after going through 941 days of rehab. And to hear fans who, I got a guy, Sabo, on YouTube, and everybody out there at radio is probably like, who the hell is Sabo? Well, this kid, he tweets at us, and I love Sabo. He's one of our roasters. He tweets at us every day and YouTube or whatnot. And he's always ripping Klay. So I asked him and said, when did you become a Warrior fan? And he goes, 2013. So that right there told me he lacked perspective of where this organization was and also who Klay was as a player. Obviously he came around and Klay, all he knows is, oh man, the up and down. Klay. Look, Klay's not the same player he was. He understands that, as you said, perspective. But if you don't think that there's teams out there that would pay him over $25 million. Now, I heard the guys last week, Steiny Goo, Willard Dibbs on a crossover. I forgot does Klay even get $20 million a year? Are you an idiot? Of course he's getting $20 million a year. At least. What? There's an article in Hoops Hype, and Lubman, we were talking last night. The Orlando Magic is a team I identify right away in the league. When you look at salary caps and money structures and who needs what, the Orlando Magic is one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. They're terrible when it comes to three-point shooting. You don't think if they slotted a Klay Thompson into their backcourt to play alongside Paulo Banchero and Wagner, who command double teams and get to the rim, and they can kick it out to wide-open shooter like Klay Thompson? You don't think a team like Orlando would spend money on Klay Thompson? Are you crazy? The Philadelphia 76ers going to have over $60 million in cap space, FP, with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. You don't think they would love a shooter like Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson is going to get paid, folks. And I hope he gets paid by the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Like, I want him to be a Warrior for life. How fortunate we would be to see a trio together and retire together like a Manu Ginobili, I know Tony Parker went on to Charlotte Hornets for a year, whatever. Tim Duncan retired. But I mean, Klay Thompson in perspective, as you mentioned, how can you not root for a guy like that and then label him, hey, he's selfish. He's not a good teammate. He doesn't want to come up the bench. The bench has nothing to do with anything. I'm telling you guys, all these players keep telling you, whether it's Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, it's not about who starts. It's about they want to be in the last 5 minutes of the game. But how can I impact the game? How can I put myself in position to be in the game in the last 5 minutes of the game? By playing well in the first, second, third quarters and playing your heart out. And since Klay Thompson's been moved to the bench, and he's playing solid basketball.
Monte, it might get to a point where he doesn't want to start anymore.
Might not.
He might be so comfortable with this role and be so successful in it. He's like, oh, why did I fight it for a second?
Right.
But yeah. I think, we all want our superstars and guys that have done so much for us as fans to end their career with the team that they've been with the whole time. Like, that's the romantic side of it. But then you got the business side of it, too. And then, I think the thing that Klay has to obviously stay in the moment, right? He's excited to go to New York and play the Knicks, and you got to be in the moment. But when it's all said and done, if you go for a money grab, the decisions we make in life, or the ones I've made based on solely money, have been the wrong decisions.
Yep.
So maybe he takes. It's not a hometown discount. He's not going to get screwed by the Warriors. But wouldn't we all like to see him ride off into the sunset, or in his boat in the sunset, as a Warrior? I just can't think of him in another uni. There's certain players, I think we're going to get into this today too, there's certain players throughout the course of our fandom that it just doesn't hit. It just doesn't sit right to see him in a different uniform. Right. It's gross sometimes.
It is.
Like Joe Montana as a Kansas City Chief. That's the first one that comes to mind. And now
Jordan is a wizard.
Dude, even Brandon Crawford, who's not in the same category. Well, maybe it's probably not as Klay, but to see him in a Cardinals uniform, it just looks wrong, dude. It's wrong.
Funky. Yeah, Klay in another uniform would not look right whatsoever. But Double and Marge on YouTube. Good morning, Double and Marge. Bonte, the short game must be easier for Klay Thompson. Maybe it is, but he's still playing 28 minutes a night. He played 27 minutes last night, Marge, so he's still getting his minutes. They just look different. He's just playing at different points, and now you add him with Chris Paul. and you add it with Dario Saric and Therese Jackson-Davis, and all of a sudden you see the spacing on the floor, you're like, Chris Paul is going to benefit from Klay Thompson. There's a play, and Anthony Slater is going to join us later on today at 8:30. Anthony Slater on 95.7 The Game Insider, and he chronicled this play perfectly in his article last night. There's a play where Klay's rolling. He is rolling, and Chris Paul tells Kuminga, I'm going to need you to slip the screen. They're going to be wide open because two guys are going to go with Klay Thompson because of the gravity he has as a shooter. And when he's rolling, teams are like, oh, my gosh, 911, alert. We got to find number 11. We got to find him here. And then he's rolling for 13 points in the third quarter. He comes off a screen. Two guys jump out at Klay. Kuminga wide open dunk. Chris Paul realizes that. Also, Chris Paul, who's shooting, look, his last 14 games before the injury, he's shooting 40% from three. So his shots started coming around. He's going to benefit from Klay Thompson because he's going to get wide open shots. So all the trickle-down effect of Klay Thompson coming off the bench and helping other guys out, he still has that gravitational pull. It's not like Steph's, but he still has it. And you'll be a fool not think that. Just watch the freaking game. Watch the game.
There's mistakes they made last night that they can't make against good teams and get away with it. They got away with some sloppy play. And the Wizards could do. The Wizards came out. Remember you saying like the younger teams, they were flying all over. Their ball movement was sweet. I'm like, uh-oh.
They wanted to win.
I thought, uh-oh.
They wanted to win, FP.
Bad unis, by the way.
Terrible unis.
I don't even know.
The District of Columbia?
What color scheme. The power was out when they when they designed those unis. They designed those unis in the dark. No, but just watching them and Chris Paul, like that effect last night. And the more I watch Kuminga on a daily basis, and the more I watch him develop, dude, I just see Dominique Wilkins. I saw it a bunch of times last night with the fadeaway off the glass. Mm-hmm. Nobody uses a glass anymore. And then he played in the air last night. He was over the rim all night last night. And I see his game a lot like Dominique Wilkins.
That's a good call here. I want to get the text line involved. 888-957-9570. Look, we're not going to pop champagne over beating the Washington Wizards, man.
Wins
at times that was a struggle,
dude.
but a win's a win, and you gotta go. It's 3 games over 500, got 25 left. Let's roll, baby.
The Knicks are banged up. Wins a win.
You know, you can get a winning road trip here. You can get greedy Friday. Maybe you go 3-1 on this road trip. If you can get the 3-1 on this road trip, and then get 2 days off, and then you host the Bucks, who's not playing defense, and the Bulls and the Spurs, you got a chance to stack some wins here before the schedule gets even tougher because you do have the Mavericks 3 times, and that's the team you're chasing in the top 7. You don't have the Kings anymore. You're going to play the Pelicans at some point. You got to stack wins here, so it doesn't matter. We're not going to nitpick about that. It's about form, as you mentioned yesterday, as we get to March, FP, and the calendar flips, and this is a good time of basketball. Now things are college basketball is cranking up. I know we're not watching it, but we'll all fill out a bracket. You know, NBA, now we're starting to get to the stretch drive with 25 games left here, the quarter mark here, with the season, quarter of the season left. It's go time. And so, no, we're not going to nitpick here, but 888-957-9570, I just like the form, especially in that third quarter. What did you guys think of Chris Paul coming back and stabilizing that second unit? Klay Thompson coming off the bench. And JK, of course, being back with 21, 6, and 5. You're right, 10 of 13. And what I loved about Kuminga last night, FP, he didn't take 1 3-point shot. What does that tell me? His shot selection is getting so much better. And that's what the coaching staff wants. He can hit the 3. I'm not saying he can't shoot the 3, but he's being more selective. And he said, you know what? This team, they need me to drive to the cup. They need me to hit the mid-range jumper, and that's what I'm going to do.
Dude, there was Wizards last night making business decisions when Kuminga was coming down the lane. They're just getting out of the way. But he had a clear path to the basket. And when you talk about winning on the road, Bonte, like, to me, winning on the road is so much more important. You're like, oh, yeah, you're in a hostile environment. They've won 6 games in a row on the road. But when you win on the road, when you win at home, you have a good time in the locker room, and then you go to your families, you go to your house. When you win on the road, you have a good time in the locker room. Mm-hmm. You get on the bus is fun.
Right.
You get to the airport, the plane is fun. You get to the other city, the bus to the hotel is fun.
I wonder how long they stayed out in New York City.
I don't know, but like it resonates more and it builds more momentum because you're together as a group. Like you're all together. It's just the guys on the road. And so when you win, you have the happy flight, you have the happy bus rides, you have the happy bus rides to the arena the next game. There's more momentum when you win on the road. So, I mean, if they would have lost that game, it would have been a quiet bus ride to the airport, probably a quiet flight to New York, even though it's a quick one. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they took the train. I don't know. Did they take the train?
I don't think so. I think they probably flew.
We used to rent that. They used to do the whole train.
Because I got a text from Raymond Ritter
back in the day.
Let me see. They probably got back last night. I think they got back last night.
It's a 3-hour train ride.
Yeah, they traveled last night. So probably a plane. Probably a plane. Because the plane, how long is the plane ride from D.C. to?
40 minutes. But then the bus ride from the airport, whether you fly into New Jersey, or you fly into JFK, or you fly into LaGuardia, the bus ride to Manhattan downtown is longer than the flight. Even if you get in yeah, you never know. Because you can get in late and there's construction everywhere. Right. You're like, oh, no traffic. And then they got lanes closed and it still takes a long time.
Oh, boy. But, they're the Warriors. They probably had, like, highway patrol, police escort or whatnot. You can get that, right? And some teams pay for that and just get straight to the hotel.
Of course.
Go have some fun in New York City and get ready for the New York Knicks tomorrow night. Feel good about that win last night.